Hi there, how are you feeling today? So in this video, I wanted to talk about death, about what happens to our loved ones when they pass away. Also in this video, I wanted to apologize because for the past 2 weeks, I have been getting guidance that I needed to talk about this, and guidance as to, they really wanted me to share with you a chapter from When Love Leaves. My spirit team has been asking me, it's been a few weeks now, and it was only over the course of the weekend that I understood, oh, now I know why you wanted me to talk about this. So I promised them that from now on, whenever they really guided me strongly that I needed to talk about something, that I would just do it, even though it hasn't been a question or a comment that's been placed on the channel yet, or in an email that I've received. I have to trust that there is someone out there that needs this information. And that's why my spirit team was so strong, pushing me to share this chapter. It's chapter 21 in the book When Love Leaves. And it's called Witnessing Death for the First Time. It was Sunday morning. I remember reading a post on Facebook about one of the coaches. It's one of the courses that I did, life transformational coaching. She was very ill in the hospital, and they were asking all of us to pray for her. This post was up for about a week. It had been up for about 5 days now, and I asked the young girl that runs the emails if I could send her Reiki, but I needed permission for that. So I basically asked the girl that runs the emails, could she ask the family or this particular coach, if she was lucid, if I had permission to send her Reiki. As we were running out of time, I said that I would get my higher self to ask her higher self, because she was having a hard time contacting her, getting, an answer back, and the days were passing. So I got my higher self to ask her higher self if she wanted to receive distance healing with the angels. I got an emphatic no. But the angels kept bugging me to do this Reiki healing. So I asked my friend in New Zealand, who is a medium. I sent her a photo of this lovely lady from Facebook, and I asked her what was coming up for her. She replied that it was a definite yes. To say that I was confused would be an understatement, but I did the distance healing anyway. After the session, I realized why it was a definite no. I was not going in for a healing, but to witness the passing of a beautiful human being. When I called in the angels, they were all dressed in these beautiful white luminescent gowns. Even Uriel and Metatron were dressed in white and had taken human form for this session. As I opened up her crown, there was so much light pouring into her head. It was almost blinding. When I opened up her third eye chakra, I could see her divine light body come out of her physical body. She was ecstatic and delighted. I had never felt such joy until this point in time. Her light body floated above her physical body. I could see her physical body in the hospital room, and her light body was floating outside of the room, but just above. So at that stage, when I was looking at her, it's not written here, but at that stage, it's like the ceiling of the hospital room had disappeared. And even though I could see her laying in this hospital room, the roof had disappeared above her, and all I could see was her beautiful light body floating above, just floating above the physical body. her energy, if you like. Oh, it explains here, it's a bit tricky to describe, but I think I just did. So even though I still had her in her hospital room, in lying down in her hospital bed, it was like the walls had disappeared around her and the roof. It was just her floating there. At that moment, hundreds of little fairies appeared and surrounded her light body. That's when she started giggling. They were so happy to see her, and she was thrilled to be with them. Her light body and the fairies remained until the session was complete. When I reached her throat chakra, thousands upon thousands of white flowers appeared. They were falling gently from the sky onto her physical body. I couldn't see where they were coming from. You know, like rain. You can't see where rain comes from, but you can see it coming down when it's just there. It was like they were raining from the clouds. Then the magic happened. As I opened up her heart chakra, that beautiful golden hand of God came in and lifted up her physical body. As I watched, her body slowly disintegrated into dust until it completely disappeared. It was amazing. It was really, really beautiful to witness, actually. Overwhelmed with so much love and joy, I began to cry and didn't stop until the session had ended. Hopefully I can get you through this without crying all the way through. We'll see how we go. I make no promises. On the way up, as I was turning her chakras in their respective colors, they were all spinning with these beautiful peonies. This gorgeous, huge flower that when I do the editing, I will put a beautiful picture here of what a peony looks like. First in red, then orange, yellow, then pink, blue, purple, and white. When I reached the top, that's all that was left. These beautiful flowers spun where her body once lay. All I could see was her light body floating above, surrounded by fairies. Her face beamed with joy and love. It felt like a celebration, like they were welcoming her home. She adored her fairies. I was on such a high after this session that vibration stayed with me for weeks after that. The following morning, they announced her death on Facebook. All I could see was her face smiling. She was so happy, and I could feel that she had lived the life she came here to live. Nothing was left unresolved. She was at peace and ready to return home. This event has completely destroyed my fear of death. I realize now what a joyous occasion it is. I had read about this in Home with God by Neale Donald Walsh, but this Reiki session turned theory into knowing. They are two completely different things. Reading words on a page and planting a seed in your heart is one thing. Then having the angels and God touch your heart in ways you never knew existed. That's knowing. That is their desire through all these experiences I've had with them, and they are asking me to share with you. Hopefully it will create an opening, no matter how small, that they may touch your heart and you can know their existence for yourself. So, what I found out after that beautiful session, you see, when I was asking if she wanted a Reiki healing, I didn't know that this was the end for her. So that's why her higher self was saying to my higher self that they didn't require Reiki healing. But I was infinitely gifted when I went in and I got to witness how beautiful death is. Later, I also found out that peonies were her favorite flower and that she had a fascination with fairies her whole life. She adored fairies. Now, I don't know if she could see them, if they were a part of her life or if it was just something that was in her that she loved fairies, that at that time, when her light body left the physical body, she was surrounded by them. In my personal experience, I have not been in the presence of fairies, but I am constantly in the presence of my beautiful spirit team. So I don't discard that she may have had them present in her day-to-day, in her existence. The fairies may have been part of her existence. Because there are so many different beings on the other side, waiting to be present with us, waiting to assist us. My whole life, my whole childhood especially, I was conditioned to believe that there is this huge fear around death. Huge fear. And the reason that I was brought up with that was because my mum lost her parents when she was 5. More importantly, she lost her mum. Her mum died when she was 5. So my mum was terrified of death. She was terrified of losing the ones you love because of death, because they're taken away. And then, of course, after she had us, there was the fear of her dying and us being left behind to endure a life without a parent. So that fear continued. It was always underlying, if you like, in my day-to-day. There was always this fear of death. Somewhere inside of me, I knew that there was more. I remember being 4 years old, and this is a story in my first book, Your Past is a Gift. And I was holding my breath at 4. And I remember this clearly because I wanted to know what happens when you die, when you're no longer here. And my mum came in and I wasn't breathing. So imagine, as a mother, you walk in and you see your 4-year-old lying on a bed and they're not breathing, So she started screaming, she was freaking out. And of course it startled me back to, oh, what's going on, And, but I was fascinated with death, with what happens when you die. What happens? Somehow I already knew that there was more, But to witness. Now, one thing was to be in this Reiki session and to observe all the beautiful things that were happening. But the energy that was coming through from the moment I saw God's hand, because usually I see God as a golden hand or a golden finger. I don't know why. God does not appear to me as a human figure, as in a whole physical body, like the angels. I see them as a whole physical body. God usually shows up as a hand, a golden hand for some reason. And the first time I was taken to be in the presence of God, in the 0 point where all of creation begins, where there is nothing else, He appeared as a golden hand. And I was given the opportunity to step into that beautiful golden hand and be a part of that energy. As I was witnessing this death that day, that was most of what I was experiencing, more than the visuals that were just so beautiful that I was blown away. And her joy when her physical light body came out. The light body came out of the physical body, sorry. There was so much joy like I had never felt before in this lifetime. She was so overjoyed. And, remembering back now, she was surrounded by angels. surrounded by these gorgeous little fairy beings. And they were all celebrating that she was coming home, all of them. There was so much love and so much joy. And I was in quite a high frequency from that, from experiencing that for quite a few weeks after. There was something that happened, within me, where this fear of death was just completely destroyed. Like it had there was no reason to hold on to that fear anymore when I had witnessed all of that. And it was so, so beautiful. Now within me, there's always been a knowing that we have a time, a moment in time where we are born, where we come to this earth. But we also have a time when we are meant to leave, however that looks. Whether we've been here for 2 minutes and that was it, or we've been here for 20 years, or 40 years, or 60 or 80 or 100. We already have a set time that we've decided that's it. That's when we are leaving. This is when we arrive, and this is when we have to leave. For whatever reason, the soul chose that moment. I lost a cousin to cancer. She was 38 years old. And she left behind a 10-year-old daughter. Beautiful. Looks just like her. And my aunt, her grandmother, got to finish raising her. She's all grown up now. That was about over 20 years ago now. But, there's a peace that comes within when we understand that we have a time to arrive, a day, a time to be born into this life. And as we chose the day and the time that we arrive, that we are born, we also have a day and a time that we depart, that we chose to die, because that was it for that soul. That soul completed what it needed to complete in that given period of time that it was here on earth. For so long I would hear my mum that, if my cousin went to see this doctor or that doctor, or if they'd done some things differently, that my cousin would still be alive. And in my heart there was always a knowing that no, it was her time to go. She had completed what she needed to complete in this lifetime. The experience she came to have was done in this lifetime. We are eternal beings. In spirit, our light bodies, we go on forever and ever and ever. And we can come back here as many times as we want. There's no limit to how many lifetimes we want to come and experience. No limit. Because we are unlimited beings in our spirit form. Perhaps part of the agreement, the soul contract that you have with your loved ones, was that you would lose them in this lifetime and that you would grieve their absence, that you would have this experience. I know in past lifetimes, which I think is also in that book When Love Leaves, if not, it's in You Can Change Your Past. I've had past lifetime regressions, and I remember the first time I was taken back, I found myself standing in front of this house, and it was winter, it was cold, and there was snow everywhere. So I know I wasn't here in Australia because, well, where I was, here there's only particular spots that snow, and it's not where I was standing. And I was taken back. I could feel how cold it was. But in the moment, there was someone walking towards me to give me news. And in that moment, I couldn't feel anything. I was told in that moment that my sons had died in the war that they'd gone off to, that they'd been sent off to. And for about 2 to 3 weeks after, I could not stop crying. I couldn't stop crying. It was almost like that grief was still stuck in my system. And as I was witnessing that grief of losing my sons in the war, and there was nothing I could do about it, because I couldn't even stop them going. It was mandatory. In that moment that I'm witnessing that grief and I'm seeing it come up and the tears are rolling and I couldn't stop them for days and days. I'd be at work, in the middle of work, and I'd start crying, remembering how painful it was to receive that news. But with that, I was given the vision of all the women behind me. I'm standing there, and behind me are thousands upon thousands of women going through the same. I could feel their grief as well as mine, and I knew I wasn't alone. This experience was something we came to have as a collective. Some experiences are not easy. They're not easy to accept, that on some level we chose that, our soul chose that. And we came here to go through that, to gain the knowledge of what that feels like. So know in your heart that you're not alone. Know in your heart that your loved ones are with you always, in spirit, and that whatever happened was meant to happen. However it happened. You know, my cousin with leukemia, just 38, I consider quite young. And even more so when you think that she left behind a 10-year-old daughter. You know, a whole life. She missed a whole life watching her beautiful daughter grow up. But their souls had that contract already forged, that this is how it would be before they even came. All right, my beautiful beings, I'm going to leave you with that information today, that it may bring some peace to your beautiful heart, that no matter what happened, it was meant to happen that way, and that our loved ones are in so much joy and in so much love and in so much peace that there are no words to describe, no words to describe how beautiful it is when we return home, home to spirit, home to the universal life force energy, when we reconnect to that. Not that we are ever separate here, but it is the human experience that creates that illusion that we are separate. All right, my beautiful beings, I'm sending you all the biggest hug today. I love you dearly. I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And share this beautiful video, that there may be others out there in grief that need this information today. All right, my beautiful beings. Bye for now.